What's up, mindful architects? Let's talk about cognitive dissonance. You've probably heard the term. It's that fancy psychological term for when you believe one thing but do another, and it makes you feel like an idiot. Most people think it's a bug, a glitch you get when you screw up. They think it's something you catch when you're being retarded. I'm here to tell you they're wrong. Cognitive dissonance isn't the bug. It's the program. It's your base state. It's the air you've been breathing your whole life. And realizing that is the first step to actually getting a lungful of real freedom. The premise of cognitive dissonance as the factory-installed operating system. Think about it. You're born. You're a blank slate. But the world isn't blank. It's a hurricane of bull excrement. You're told to be honest, but you see liars get ahead. You're told to be peaceful, but you see violence rewarded. You're told to follow your dreams, but you're told to pay your bills. You're told your country is the greatest, but you see its flaws every single day. Your little brain has a choice. Explode from the contradiction, or start building a firewall. And you choose the firewall. You learn to rationalize. You learn to compartmentalize. You learn to nod along when you know it's a lie. That's cognitive dissonance in action. It's not a mistake. It's a survival mechanism. It's the psychological armor you had to build just to get through the day without losing your mind. Every single person you see is walking around in a suit of this armor. It's our shared, default reality. The consequence of the revelation, the red pill moment. So what happens when you realize this? When you see the armor on yourself and everyone else? It's a mind bender. It's like seeing the Matrix for the first time. You realize that most of what people say and do isn't based on a rational search for truth. It's based on a desperate, unconscious need to stop that feeling of dissonance. You see your dad, who preaches hard work but is secretly miserable in his job. He's not a hypocrite. He's just managing his dissonance. You see your friend who hates corporate America but works for a massive company. She's not a sellout. She's just paying her mortgage and quieting the dissonance. You start to feel a mix of pity and awe. Pity for the struggle, and awe for the incredible mental gymnastics we all perform every single day. The world stops being a place of good guys and bad guys, and starts being a planet of sleeping giants, all dreaming their own private, coherent dream to keep the real world at bay. The action needed for becoming the architect. So what's the action? If the armor is the problem, do you just take it off? No. You'd be torn to shreds by the very chaos you built it to protect you from. The action is not to destroy the armor. The action is to become the architect of it. You have to consciously, deliberately, go back into your own operating system and look at the code. You have to find the conflicting programs. The one that says, I deserve to be rich, and the one that says, money is evil. The one that says, I am a badass, and the one that says, I'm a fraud. You have to face the discomfort. You have to sit with that feeling of, this doesn't make sense, without immediately scrambling for a rationalization. You have to let the dissonance burn. It hurts. It's supposed to. But in that pain, you find the truth. You find the contradictions you were hiding from yourself. And for the first time in your life, you get to choose which belief to keep, which to discard, and which to upgrade. You stop being a victim of your base programming and you start becoming the mindful architect of your own reality. You don't eliminate cognitive dissonance. You master it. You use it as a compass. When you feel that discomfort, you don't run from it. You move toward it. Because you know that's where the growth is. That's the work. Stop letting the program run you. It's time to start writing the code. Here's a more detailed description of cognitive dissonance, the internal conflict of belief and action. Cognitive dissonance is a powerful and pervasive psychological phenomenon, describing the mental discomfort experienced by an individual who holds two or more contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values, or when their behavior conflicts with their beliefs. We will provide a comprehensive overview of cognitive dissonance, including its historical origins, the evolution of its theoretical framework, key facts about its function, methods for identification and mitigation, and analysis of its manifestation in contemporary society. The central thesis is that cognitive dissonance is not merely a mental flaw, but a fundamental mechanism of human psychology that, while often leading to irrational behavior, is essential for maintaining a coherent sense of self, history, and theoretical evolution. The theory of cognitive dissonance was first formally introduced by social psychologist Leon Festinger in his 1957 book, A Theory of Cognitive Dissonance. Festinger's interest was piqued by his observation of a cult known as the Seekers, led by Dorothy Martin, who predicted a specific date for a cataclysmic flood that would end the world. When the prophecy failed and the world did not end, Festinger did not observe the group abandoning their beliefs, as rational thought might suggest. Instead, he observed the opposite. The group members, faced with the stark dissonance between their belief, the world will end, and the reality, the world is still here, doubled down. They reinterpreted the evidence, concluding that their faith had convinced God to spare the world. Their belief was strengthened, not shattered. This observation led Festinger to propose his theory. The drive to reduce cognitive dissonance is a powerful motivator of human behavior. The discomfort it creates is akin to hunger or thirst, compelling an individual to seek relief. The theory has since been refined and expanded. While Festinger's original work focused on the inconsistency between beliefs and actions, later research, including work by Elliot Aronson, refined the concept to include the dissonance that arises when one's actions conflict with one's self-concept. For example, a person who sees themselves as a kind person but behaves rudely will experience dissonance. This evolution made the theory more robust, as it linked the discomfort to the fundamental human need to maintain a positive and consistent self-image. Key facts and mechanisms. Cognitive dissonance is not a clinical disorder but a universal psychological process. Its core mechanism is the drive for internal consistency. When inconsistency is recognized, the mind automatically seeks to restore balance. This is achieved through one of three primary mental strategies. Change the behavior or cognition. This is the most direct, but often most difficult route. If a person believes smoking is harmful, but continues to smoke, they can quit smoking to resolve the dissonance. Conflicting cognitions. Beliefs. This is the most common and insidious mechanism. The individual adds new thoughts or justifications to outweigh the dissonant belief. The smoker might adopt the belief, "The research is not conclusive," or "I need to smoke to manage stress," which is also unhealthy. Trivialize the cognition. The individual downplays the importance of the conflicting belief. The smoker might conclude, "I'm going to die of something anyway, so I might as well enjoy my life." The intensity of the dissonance is directly proportional to the importance of the cognitions involved and the degree of inconsistency between them. A minor inconsistency, for example, buying a shirt you later dislike, causes minimal discomfort, whereas a major conflict between a core value, for example, honesty, and a significant action, for example, lying in a critical situation, creates intense psychological distress. How to identify cognitive dissonance. Identifying cognitive dissonance in oneself and others requires observing a pattern of defensive or illogical behavior. Key indicators include selective exposure, actively seeking out information that confirms existing beliefs while actively avoiding information that challenges them. Selective interpretation, interpreting ambiguous information in a way that supports one's existing beliefs. This is also known as confirmation bias, a close cousin of cognitive dissonance. Rationalization and justification, offering flimsy or convoluted explanations for behavior that conflicts with stated beliefs. The justifications often feel off or overly complex. Emotional reactivity, responding with anger or hostility when a dissonant belief is challenged. The emotional response is a defense mechanism to shut down the source of the discomfort. The sour grapes effect. Devaluing a goal or outcome after it becomes unattainable. I didn't really want that promotion anyway. The boss is a jerk. How to guard against cognitive dissonance. While the drive to reduce dissonance is automatic, one can learn to manage it more constructively. The goal is not to eliminate dissonance, but to respond to it with intellectual honesty rather than self-deception. Cultivate self-awareness. The first step is to recognize the feeling of dissonance itself. It is a physical and mental discomfort, a tightness, a feeling of unease, or a sense of being defensive. Acknowledge this feeling as a signal, not a threat. Embrace intellectual humility. Accept the possibility that your beliefs may be wrong. View your beliefs as hypotheses to be tested, not sacred truths to be defended. This mindset transforms dissonance from a crisis into an opportunity for learning. Seek disconfirming evidence. Actively and intentionally engage with high-quality information and perspectives that challenge your views. This is the antidote to selective exposure. Focus on your values, not your ego. When confronted with dissonance, ask yourself, what action aligns with my core values? This shifts the focus from protecting your ego, I can't be wrong, to acting with integrity. What is the right thing to do? Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation can help one observe thoughts and feelings without immediately reacting to them. This creates a space between the feeling of dissonance and the impulsive need to resolve it through rationalization. Popular examples in society. Cognitive dissonance is not just a laboratory phenomenon. It is woven into the fabric of modern life. The health-conscious smoker. This is the classic example. The individual is aware of the severe health risks of smoking, but continues the behavior. They resolve the dissonance by saying, "It helps me relax." "My uncle smoked and lived to 90. Or, "I'll quit next year." The justification of effort. A person who joins an exclusive, difficult-to-join group, for example, a fraternity, a special forces unit, will value the group more highly than one that was easy to join. The difficulty and effort, the dissonant cognition of, "this was hard and unpleasant," are rationalized as proof of the group's worth. It must be amazing, if I went through all that, to get in. Post-purchase rationalization. After making a significant purchase, such as an expensive car, a buyer often actively seeks out positive reviews and avoids negative ones. They are resolving the dissonance between spending a large sum of money and the possibility that they made a bad choice. Political polarization. A voter who supports a political candidate is confronted with news of that candidate's unethical behavior. To resolve the dissonance between their support and the candidate's actions, they might dismiss the news as fake news, rationalize that all politicians do it, or focus heavily on the candidate's positive attributes to outweigh the negative one. This phenomenon is a primary driver of political tribalism. Conclusion: cognitive dissonance is an inescapable feature of the human condition. It is the mental price we pay for a complex brain capable of holding abstract beliefs and self-reflection. While it can lead to irrationality, hypocrisy, and the entrenchment of false beliefs, it is also the engine of personal growth. The feeling of dissonance is a signal that our actions are out of alignment with our values. By learning to identify this feeling and respond with humility and a commitment to truth rather than comfort, we can harness this powerful psychological force to become more rational, authentic, and consistent individuals. The choice is not whether to experience cognitive dissonance, but how we will respond to its call. The standard view of cognitive dissonance is that it's an occasional bug in an otherwise rational system. However, cognitive dissonance is the factory-installed operating system. It's the default state of being human. The idea that you only get cognitive dissonance when you're retarded or have made a mistake is fundamentally wrong. You are born into a world of conflicting information, contradictory rules, and hypocrisies. Your first, most critical job as a developing consciousness is to make sense of this chaos. The only way to do that is to start building a coherent narrative by ignoring, rationalizing, and trivializing the contradictions. You are, from day one, managing cognitive dissonance. The being retarded isn't having cognitive dissonance. It's never realizing you have it. It's dying without ever questioning the operating system you were given. Your revelation is the moment you realize you're in a game you didn't know you were playing. Good night, architects.